Our guest brings a powerful voice to both the courtroom and the podcast space. As a criminal defense attorney and host of the First Day Out podcast, she's helping to shine a light on stories of second chances and reentry. Please welcome attorney Katia Wilson to Legal Connections. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
So what inspired you to pursue criminal defense law, and what keeps you passionate about it?
Okay, so when it comes to criminal defense, it's more of a personal reason, just to be honest, and kind of how I ended up into the podcast space. I have a lot of family that has been negatively affected by the criminal justice system, just to be honest. My father in particular, he went to prison when I was at a very young age, when I was about 3, and he didn't get out until I was 16. And when he got out, it was because he won an appeal. And when it was time for him to be sentenced, basically he was overly sentenced and he appealed his case and he won. That's how he got out. But if he had not won his appeal, he wouldn't have gotten out until this year, actually, until 2025, had he not won his appeal going in at my age of 3 years old, you know. And what I learned just from learning about his case and other cases with family members and stuff like that is that we needed representation. We needed somebody to advocate for us. And sometimes relatability is the key to have compassion, to have empathy, and to be able to fight for someone. And I just wanted to be that person standing in the space to fight for people that didn't have the resources or things of that nature, to have someone to fight for them.
I want to talk about your podcast a little bit, because you talked about your father, and reentry is tricky for so many people coming back to a community that they may have had issues and struggles. So what made you want to do this podcast, First Day Out?
Yeah, so very tricky when it comes to reentry, and especially when you spend a lot of time behind bars. Actually, that was another thing inspired. My very first episode was an episode with my father, actually. He was the first episode of First Day Out. I went and picked him up for the first time because, unfortunately, since him getting out at 16, he's gone back a couple of times, because what happens is people become institutionalized, and just knowing how to survive on the outside, finding those resources, it's hard, just to put it plain and simple, right? It's hard. So I wanted to show people who were coming out what their mindsets were, how do they plan on moving forward in life without possibly going back, and being able to offer some resources if they were needed. And everybody, I don't catch them on the very first day, and I actually can appreciate the people that I catch them on month 3, and I can see what they're doing, be able to inspire others who've been in that space to be able to say, I'm doing this, you can do this, we can move forward from this. So that was really the inspiration behind it.
And in your legal work, you are trying to keep people out of that situation. Can you give me an experience or a case that really showcases your philosophy toward how you approach law?
Absolutely. Most would think it would be about the second-degree murder case that I won or something of that nature, but actually it's not. What I found is all wins don't come in the form of not guilty. I had a case with a young man who was 17 years old, charged as an adult with a crime. He had 2 crimes under his belt, actually. He was charged with a robbery with a firearm, which carries a 10-year minimum mandatory when you're going in. And I'll be honest, all of the evidence pointed to the fact that he did it. You know, and so what I really was fighting for him a second chance at life. Just because you make a mistake doesn't mean to throw you away, right? So while I was fighting with the state and trying to get them to see the humanity in him, get to see him as this is a young kid, it was a very hard road while I was fighting, to the point where all they were offering me was 10 years the whole entire time. And I know how much difference that would have made in his life moving forward. So I did something that a lot of people in that county doesn't do, because it's in Polk, who's known to be tough on crime, which was open plea to the judge and present to the judge some case law, his family background, have some character witnesses, even a mentor come and testify on his behalf, and to convince them that he was deserving of a second chance. We have a youthful offender statute here in the state of Florida, and I remember all of these attorneys that I was speaking to saying, don't do it. He's not going to get the youthful offender. They don't give that around here, all of those things. But I was able to find a case from the 80s where that same judge had given someone youthful offender. I even presented that case when I presented my case, and I was able to get it. The state came in asking for 10 years or more. I was able to get him. He still went to prison, but it was only for 4 years, followed by some probation. He had a mentor set in place already who had been fortunate enough to be a youthful offender in the past. And he's out already, able to start his life over. He's working, he's doing well, like, you know. So it was really those type of moments, not letting this one hiccup stop him from progressing in life. And I had another case similar to that with a vehicular homicide with a young man. And the same thing, I was able to get him no prison, youthful offender, some house arrest, so that they can have a second chance at life. That's what I'm fighting for, that it doesn't stop at a mistake, you know?
Right, absolutely.
So,
and just a couple of words, what would you say to a young attorney who's interested in criminal justice reform?
It's a long road, it's a long fight, but it's worth it. It's worth fighting for. It's worth putting your mind to it and really doing those things to make a difference. And it gets hard. It gets hard because sometimes you take some really bad hits because some of your clients end up getting a lot of time. But for those that you're able to give them that second chance, that's what makes it worth it. So don't let it discourage you. Keep working. Keep pushing, and know that you're making a difference, and don't lose yourself in it. Make sure you find that balance. That would be some words I would give them.
Excellent advice. Katia, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Attorney Wilson reminds us that advocacy doesn't stop in the courtroom. Her work, both legal and creative, brings justice to life in a meaningful way.